What's up, guys? It's Coach Gabe here. We're going to be going over a little bit of my training so that you guys can apply these concepts, these advanced training techniques, and these cues to your own training. And you can see what I do and you can learn from me, because I'm going to critique a couple things I could have done better here, right? We can always be better. Even when we know what to do, we know the cues we need to be doing. Oftentimes, the best way to correct ourselves is look from a third point of view. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Coach Gabe, the one and only coach of Team Peak Natty, my coaching company. I coach anybody that's natural. Put quite a few guys on stage, but I also have plenty of lifestyle clients. I work with female bodybuilders, moms, anyone that's natural, you name it. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at Gabe McKenney and the Team Peak Natty account at Team Peak Natty. Without further ado, let's get into this thing. So this is my upper day. I'm going to tell you guys why I have the exercise order I do, and then we'll also get into some clips here. So my weak point that I'm trying to bring up is my chest. So I used to do all my chest stuff at the very beginning of my workout, right? That's how we prioritize something. We don't need more volume, don't need more junk volume, don't need to train it any harder, with like drop sets or something like that. Simply, we just put it at the beginning of our lift, right? And so it was at the beginning of my lift for a while, but I was having a lot of chest pain near my pec major tendon. But that's not what was causing it. I found out through a physio, through a trainer, that my labrum is loose from an old injury where I broke my wrist by, falling forward at full speed, extending my wrist, breaking my wrist. I also potentially kind of caused some instability, some weakness, it clicks and stuff. It's potentially just a little unstable, right? My labrum in there. And so what you can do anytime you have some shoulder pain, you have an unstable rotator cuff, labrum, whatever, is you can do some back first. And that gets some blood flow in there. It can help stabilize that labrum, that rotator cuff, and get it nice and stable before we do, this max effort pressing, right? And what I found with clients, what I've been taught also, is that this tends to help. So if you have shoulder pain, guys, try hitting at least one back exercise first, get some blood in there, pull before you push at max effort. So what I do to get that labrum nice and warmed up, nice and stable before I go ahead and press, is I do two things first: my single arm pull down and then my lateral raise, and then I press. So let's critique my single arm pull down here. So this is the Nautilus single arm pull down, right? Whatever version of a single arm pull down you do, you want to be leaning back like this, right? And just driving your elbow to hip. So we do a nice brace here, right, on the handle, and lean back, keep the chest upright, driving elbow to hip. You want to keep your hand in a neutral grip the entire time, right? I don't like to move it, to an underhand grip, move it to an overhand grip. I keep it neutral the entire time, and just drive elbow to hip. And then I also, you can't see since it's my left arm, but I also really make sure that I'm not overextending upwards and letting my shoulder elevate, right? Bringing load off of the lat and onto my shoulder joints. So yeah, this is pretty much standard. I really wouldn't critique my form on this at all, right? Lean back, nice stable, and just driving the elbow to hip without too much shoulder elevation. So not too much to go over here, but those are the cues I would use for your single arm pull down. A lot of people will be very, very upright, right? I would, at least how I program this movement in, lean back, treat it like a sagittal row, and drive elbow to hip, right? We have our lat pull down later in the exercise. We want that neutral grip, basically leaned back row right here, nice and stable. So this is what it looks like for me. Boom, right here, boom, elbow to hip, and just pulling hard with that lat, making sure I get my elbow all the way down, squeezing my lat at the bottom. Good mind muscle connection here. Okay, next exercise is going to be the prime lateral raise. This is on setting 5. I highly recommend either setting 5 or setting 3 for any prime pin loaded machines that is going to load it in the lengthened position. So in the lateral raise, that means it's heaviest at the bottom right here and a little bit after that, and then it's easiest at the top, right, in the shortened position. Boom. Also, pro tip on anything where you aren't holding on to something, if you grip either your straps or Bluetooth handles like I am here, yes, it will help more. So if you don't care what other people think, you don't care about someone judging you for Bluetooth D handles, you will be stronger doing it like this, right? It's just how it works. You're able to have more motor unit recruitment when you are squeezing something. Studies have shown that, and just try it yourself. It works. But yeah, this is what you want to do. This is how I do the seated lateral raise, right? For our side delts, in my opinion, it's going to be so much better when you can have straight arms versus doing them with fully bent elbows. So how do we unlock straight arms instead of, grabbing the grips that you're meant to grab and having bent arms? Simply sit backwards on it and have straight arms here, and then just hold onto the Bluetooth D handles. So yeah, again, I think this lateral raise set is great. Let me play it again for you guys one more time. But like I said, I really wouldn't critique myself on this at all. Maybe, let's see if I could have a little bit more control at the bottom maybe before coming upwards. But otherwise, I really like this set, honestly. This was pristine. Yep, there we go. We see that involuntary slowing of the concentric. That set was money. Like I said, try that movement. Oh my gosh, lateral raises feel so much better with straight arms, guys. So if you do a machine lateral raise, definitely try to sit backwards on it. Yeah, let's go with this one. Okay, so converging flat press right here, hands nice close in. Here I'm kind of cueing thumb pressure. So I'm cueing, pushing through my thumbs right here. That cue may not work for you if you don't have good just initiation of the press with your chest, but I have pretty good mind muscle connection by now, so I kind of cue driving through thumb pressure right there. But yeah, one thing I could have done better on this set, popped it up good. I think I had a good tempo. I had pretty good control with the press right here, but you can see I start to arch as the set gets harder and harder. So really, that's the only thing I would probably change about this set. So yeah, what you guys can do to keep a nice stacked rib cage is cue long spine, right? Cue sitting as tall as possible with your back flat, and really try to not start to arch or scoot your butt forward. It's really not bad that I'm doing it, but yeah, really make sure you guys don't scoot your butt forward here on your flat presses. Make sure you guys cue your long spine. You stand nice and tall, you make your spine as long as possible, and then you just initiate the press with the chest. But yeah, doing those two exercises first made it so I had like literally 0.5 out of 10 pain, honestly, on the flat press, which normally it's been getting pretty bad right there in my left pec by my shoulder. So like I said, this is pretty money. Good control, good thumb pressure. Again, when you guys do your flat presses, really keep your back flat, cue long spine, make yourself as tall as possible, stay nice and sturdy with your feet, and then yeah, just make sure you don't start to arch and arch and arch right there as the weight gets harder and harder. Neutral incline press right here. So yeah, got our incline press, neutral grip, things we're cueing here, same thing, long spine. We don't want to start arching as the weight gets harder and harder. We just want to stay nice and stable with a long spine, flat back right here. With incline presses, your ROM does not have to be deep at all. And so, but yeah, the range on the incline that we need is just not very significant. So you can see here, I'm not, milking the stretch or anything like that. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. That just puts a lot of strain on your rotator cuffs and your shoulders. No need to do that, especially for an incline press, especially neutral grip. So you can kind of see my ROM there. You can see me cueing long spine, and we're really just trying to initiate the press with our chest, minimize the lockout on the top. The prime incline press is loaded 2-to-1 top peg to middle peg. That basically creates setting 5, where it's going to be heaviest here at the bottom and it's lighter at the top in the shortened position where our triceps are pushing most of the load, right? So we bias the chest in that way as well, and boom, what you see here is as soon as I get to the top, I come back down. As soon as I get to the top, I come back down. Oh, this was a warm-up set. Hold up. We got to play this one. Okay. This is my real set. But now that I have done the cues, you guys can see what I'm talking about here, right? So now that I told you guys those cues, take a look at my set. And this guy gave me a spot when I didn't want one, which was annoying, but hey, it is what it is. My fault for freaking talking to him. So annoying. Whatever. But yeah, so you guys can see, I kind of explained them all on that warm-up set one, but that is what that looked like. I think this is a warm-up set too. Shoulder press, yeah, this is a warm-up set. Q and long spine, rib cage stacked here. This is a converging one slightly, so we put our hands all the way to the inside. Boom, as you can see right here, not on the outside, nice on the inside. Q and long spine, nice stall tacked, or nice rib cage stack here. Feet driving back against the pad, staying nice and stable, and matching our breathing with our reps, and a more controlled change of direction right here. So on shoulder presses, I used to, just bring them down fast and just kind of shoot it up with not a lot of control. One of the best things you can do on shoulder press is control this change of direction. Also, side note, right? A lot of people are wondering, how deep should you go on the shoulder press? Should you go all the way down or just to about 90 degrees? 90 degrees, guys. Going farther down just puts a lot of load on your shoulder joints, and if we want to train the shoulder in the lengthened position, that's what lateral raises are for. For shoulder press, you are just fine going down to about 90 degrees, which is about like eye nose level. So yeah, something for you guys to do on your shoulder press if you weren't doing that already. You don't need to sink it all the way down, and you can bring it to about 90. Okay, Kelso shrugs. So for any type of chest supported row or Kelso shrug, one of the best things you can do in order to put your scapula in a better position is look upwards. So you can't see my face right here, but I'm looking up. I'm looking up and I'm doing the Kelso. So look up, use straps, neutral grip right here. As you can see, my hands are neutral grip. Will typically feel a lot better on Kelso shrugs as well. So yeah, here, look, you guys will be able to see my head looking up. Like I said, neutral grip, boom. All right, see my head, right? I'm looking up and I'm coming right here and just retracting my scapula, We also don't want too much protraction and just overextending our upper back over the pad. So protraction right here is basically where we overextend our hands forward down and let our upper back round over the pad, right? We don't want that either. So you can see I just have a normal range of protraction, and then I'm just driving backwards with my scapula, while looking up. So that's what I would do for an upper back row or a Kelso shrug right there. So what you could see I'm already doing wrong here is, because of how close this lat pull down is to my hips, my butt right here, I'm gonna have to lean back a little bit to pull this down. Obviously, we're not trying to lean back, we're trying to keep our rib cage stacked, and we are simply just trying to drive our elbows down, pulling the bar to about mouth level here. So what I should have done is scooted back and had like my quads right here on the pad, so that I don't have to lean back as much as I am. I'm not leaning back a crazy amount here, but still, it's something to improve. You see, I am kind of leaned back, right? And I would be a lot more upright if I just scooted backwards and my butt was right here. But yeah, we want to pull the bar down right here and standardize our ROM. For me, I standardize my ROM pulling the bar to my mouth right here. Boom, bar to mouth. And then again, same thing as a single arm pull down. We don't want to overextend and have the shoulders elevate too much, taking load off the lats. We do want the scapula to move freely, and we do want to come up, but we don't need to milk a crazy stretch, right? And just shift all the load to our shoulder joints. So yeah, that's one thing I can improve upon on the lat pull down, and that's something that we can see from the side, because I didn't even think about that when I was, just locking my legs into place and doing this lat pull down. But yeah, so we're trying to stay a lot more upright, right? You see how much farther my shoulders are back. I'm back, and you can see that from the side, and I didn't even realize that in the moment, right? That's why filming your training clips can be so beneficial. Okay, and then right here, I did probably go one pin too heavy, and you can see what starts to happen is I stop focusing on extending and going down, and I just think about extending, and my elbows start to move all around a little bit too much. So what you want to do is just keep your elbows glued to your sides, and you want to extend and push down, extend and push down, extend and push down. So yeah, what I could have done better is really just locked these elbows in place to my sides. And instead of just extending forward, see how I extend forward first, then I bring it down, right? You need to extend and bring it down at the same exact time. And yeah, this is my incline bench Vulcan grip extension. And then again, even if you don't do these same exact movements, you guys can still apply these cues to your similar movements. And it's also fun to just take a look at my training and things that I could do better as well. So yeah, last exercise on this entire upper day review is going to be preacher curls. So let's take a look. Single arm preacher curls. What could I have done better here? So like I said, probably could have sat a tad higher. Probably should have moved the seat up a tad higher, because what starts to happen here is you see how my elbows, you guys see how my elbows are coming off the pad right here? Coming down, good ROM, but my elbows are just coming off the pad. If I was sitting higher, I would get more of that downwards angle and my elbows would stay stuck to the pad. I like to cue jamming my triceps down into the pad, creating that counter force, staying stable, but in turn also being able to drive with my bicep harder. But yeah, key things for a single arm preacher curl: brace with your opposite hand. You can see my forearm and my hand bracing right here. Sit in a nice stable position with your feet still, chest against the pad, and like I said, good full ROM. We want to standardize our form. A lot of people will cut preacher curls short and they do a lot more weight than they could have done, or than they wouldn't have been able to do otherwise if they were going, you know, all the way down. So standardizing the form here, controlling the change of direction, not just bouncing out of the bottom and using my body weight to move it up back, right? But instead jamming my triceps into the pad and doing nothing but curling at the elbow with everything I can, right? And so yeah, you can see the slowing down of the rep, boom, as I come near to failure, and I call it 1 rep in reserve right there. So yeah, one key thing that a lot of people do is they sit, I noticed that when I review client training clips, is they sit pretty low on the preacher curl. You don't always want that. You can get in a better position with your elbows on the pad when you sit a little bit higher sometimes. So yeah, that's my entire upper day breakdown. I base everything in order based off priority. Like I said, it used to be all the chest stuff first because I'm trying to grow my chest, but now I do have those 2 exercises first, simply to warm up and get some blood flow, some stability in my labrum before I press. And then, you know, my stuff that isn't as much of a weak point is later on in session. Still gets trained intensely, still take it close to failure, still do adequate volume, simply it's just later in the session, so it's not as fresh, right? When you're in the beginning of the session and you're freshest, that is how you can prioritize a muscle. As always, if you guys want to work with me, join Team Peak Natty, taking over the Natty game. Click the first link down below and book a call with me, and we can talk about the next steps going forward from there. If you guys would like to support this YouTube channel, as it is not monetized, so I can still use awesome music, the biggest thing is cop some Team Peak Natty merch down below, Natural Bodybuilding, and then of course you can always use code GABE on Dragon Format. Again, hope you guys found some value from this video. Hope you guys like the training clips, my gym, kind of what I do for my upper day. Yeah, it's been awesome. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments down below, and I will answer all of them. Peace.